All right, ladies and gentlemen, how are you guys doing on this Friday, June the 12th, 2020? Welcome to another metallic episode of Music of Destruction right here on YouTube, bringing you the best in metal-related content. Welcome to Top 15 Thursdays here on the channel. Yes, I know it's Friday. Metal Album Warfare is coming up later today as well. And hey, if you missed anything this week, just click the I in the upper right corner of the screen and get caught up on all of my latest videos. I would really appreciate it. Alright, so this week we are having a look at my top 15 metal frontmen. And believe me when I say that this was a very hard video to put together because there's so many fucking frontmen in metal that are absolutely legendary that deserve to be on this list. So I narrowed it down to my top 15 because these are the closest to my heart and soul, and they are legends in my eyes. Now before I get into this, I just want to say that if you disagree with anyone on this list, do your own top 15 metal frontman video or list your own top metal 15 frontmen in the comments. I always welcome hearing your guys' opinions on who your favorites are from anything related to heavy metal or hard rock. So here we go, let's just get right into this. Coming in at number 15, we have the legendary metal frontman James Hetfield of Metallica. And James Hetfield is one of the most amazing thrash metal vocalists in history, and now Metallica's more of a hard rock band. But you gotta remember, back in the 80s, when Metallica first exploded on the scene, James was a very unique voice in metal, and I think Metallica's first 4 albums are absolute classics. Of course, you know, they did end up remastering And Justice for All with bass and stuff like that. It's a great album there too. So yeah, James Hetfield of Metallica coming in at number 15. Coming in at number 14, we have Sean Harris of Diamond Head. Now, I'm not sure how many of you know this or not, but Diamond Head were huge influences on Metallica when Metallica first started, and Metallica ended up covering a number of Diamond Head's songs, and I'm pretty damn sure that they hung out together all the time. I don't know if they ever toured together. I'm pretty sure they did. I'd have to look that up. If you know if Metallica and Diamond Head toured together, please let me know in the comments. Diamond Head, one of my favorite bands. Number 14, Mr. Sean Harris was an absolute legend. Coming in at number 13, we have Per Olin of Mayhem, aka Dead. Now, Mayhem were formed in 1984 by Euronymous, and of course, Dead was only in the band for 3 years before he committed suicide. But in my opinion, he brought so much evil, so much darkness and integrity to Mayhem. And to me, he's one of the best black metal vocalists in history, bar none, and was an absolute legend before he committed suicide due to his self-mutilation on stage, burying his stage clothes for days at a time so he would get the rotting process, bringing dead animals on stage and inhaling them in a bag to get the scent of death. I mean, nobody was more real about black metal than Dead of Mayhem. Coming in at number 12, we have Barney Greenway of Napalm Death. Yes, Napalm Death made this list. Barney Greenway, one of the greatest extreme metal vocalists of all time, and there will be a top 15 extreme metal albums video next week for you guys, because I got to get Napalm Death on that list. I got to get some Napalm Death reviewed on the channel. One of my favorite extreme metal bands ever, and Barney Greenway's vocals are fucking out of this world. One of the greatest I've ever heard in my life. Coming in at number 11, we have John Tardy of Obituary. And yes, there's no way I couldn't include John Tardy on this list, given the fact that Obituary are absolute death metal legends, one of the pioneers of the genre, along with acts like Death, Possessed, and Morbid Angel. Obituary formed in 1984, and there's just no way I couldn't include John Tardy, one of the greatest death metal vocalists. He's got a lot of great range, very varied, if you get my drift. Yeah, John Tardy of Obituary, absolute fucking god of death metal. Coming in at number 10, we have Mr. Rob Halford of Judas Priest. Absolutely. Judas Priest, one of the greatest metal bands of all time. Rob Halford, one of the greatest metal vocalists of all time. Really pioneered that operatic metal scream, if you get my drift. There's no mistaking Rob Halford when he takes the mic. An absolute god of heavy metal. Rob Halford of Judas Priest. I mean, there's no way he could not have made this list. Awesome fucking vocalist. Coming in at number 9, we have Mr. Bruce Dickinson of the legendary Iron Maiden. again, another vocalist that took that operatic influence, not directly from Rob Halford, but very similar to Rob Halford in terms of approach, vocal direction, and execution. Both of these vocalists, as I said in my top 15 heavy metal videos, you could put these vocalists in a room together and it would be very hard to discern between the two because they're very, very similar and have incredible range and incredible vocal talent. Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden comes in at number 9. Coming in at number 8, we have the legendary Frank Pucci, aka Killjoy, of Necrophagia. Necrophagia, one of the pioneers of death metal, formed back in 1983 or 84. I think it was 84. Yeah, 84, 83. But yeah, a guy that gets overlooked all the time in metal, in my opinion. Frank Pucci, Killjoy, Frank Killjoy Pucci, if you want to say it that way. One of the greats. Necrophagia, one of my favorite death metal acts, and will go down in history. Rest in peace, Killjoy. He passed away in 2018, which is, you know, absolutely ridiculous. Same with Dead of Mayhem, passed away in 91. We're losing too many legends of metal in this day and age, and it just fucking sucks because so much great talent was out there, still out there to this day, but these legends that I'm listing here, some of them have passed away, and it really, really sucks. Coming in at number 7, we have Dave Mustaine of Megadeth. Of course, he was going to be on this list. Megadeth's one of the greatest metal acts of all time. Dave Mustaine just recently beat cancer. Horns up to you, Dave Mustaine, for beating cancer. Very, very awesome that you are still with us. We don't need to lose any more metal legends, ladies and gentlemen. Megadeth, one of the greatest bands in the world. Dave Mustaine, one of the greatest fucking metal guitarists and vocalists in history, in my humble opinion. Coming in at number 6, we have Carl Sanders of Nile. Yes, Nile was going to make this list, of course. Carl Sanders, man, absolute fucking legend behind the mic. Nile, one of the greatest death metal bands, one of the greatest vocalists in history, Carl Sanders, an absolute beast on the guitar and vocals. One of the greatest in history, in my opinion, Carl Sanders of Nile. Nothing short of absolutely fucking spectacular. Coming in at number 5, we have a tie. We've got Mortus of Marduk and Chuck Schuldiner of Death coming in at number 5. There was no way I could put these two, one above the other because they're both equally amazing in my opinion. Mortus of Marduk and Funeral Mist, absolutely incredible black metal vocalist, amazing range, just an incredible talent. And of course, Chuck Schuldiner of Death, one of the pioneers of death metal, one of the greatest vocalists and guitarists ever. Fucking absolute god. Chuck Schuldiner and Mortus of Marduk tied for number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have Devin Townsend of Strapping Young Lad and the Devin Townsend Project. Big fan of Strapping Young Lad, absolutely legendary extreme metal band. Not really sure why they split up. I think, I know Devin Townsend said he was getting tired of being angry and pissed off all the time, so naturally Strapping Young Lad split up. I would love to see a Strapping Young Lad reunion. However, Devin has said that it's not likely. But number 4, Devin Townsend of Strapping Young Lad and the Devin Townsend Project. Coming in at number 3, we have a death metal god, Jeff Becerra of Possessed. There is no way Jeff was not going to make this list. Interviewed them on my old channel. Jeff Becerra will be coming back to Music of Destruction at some point. Just got to figure out his schedule. We're in touch. Love you, Jeff. One of the godfather of death metal. Never mind one of the godfathers. He is the godfather of death metal. And in an interview I did with Jeff, he actually told me that Chuck Schuldiner and him were really good friends. They hung out all the time. But Chuck actually asked Jeff for permission to make death metal. So for anybody who doubts that Jeff is the godfather of death metal, well, he is. Number 3, Jeff Becerra of the legendary Possessed. Coming in at number 2, of course, Ozzy Osbourne of Black Sabbath. What more needs to be said? The godfather of metal himself, one of, and an absolute legend. Absolutely amazing vocalist, Black Sabbath, incredible band. It's Ozzy Osbourne, man. He is a fucking god. And when we lose him, that's going to be tragic for metal because, in my opinion, he is one of the best metal vocalists in the world and an absolute god and metal legend. Number 2, Ozzy Osbourne. Now the moment you've all been waiting for. Coming in at number 1, we have another tie between Mr. Ronnie James Dio and Philip H. Anselmo. Ronnie James Dio of Dio and Rainbow, and of course Phil Anselmo, of Supergiant Ritual, Down, Pantera, Scour, N Minor, and Phil Anselmo and the Illegals. Also was in Southern Isolation. This is a very prolific man. Phil Anselmo, Ronnie James Dio, same thing. But these two are on equal playing field in my mind. Both incredible, talented fucking vocalists. Rest in peace, Ronnie James Dio died in 2004 of stomach cancer. Or was it? No, 2010. Ronnie James Dio died in 2010 of stomach cancer. My apologies. Yeah, so absolute gods of metal on this list of 15. Hope you enjoyed it. As I said, it was really hard to put it together because I didn't know who else to include. This is just the ones that are as close to my heart, man. They're amazing. Hope you guys have been enjoying this series and all of the series of content that I make. And hey, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss anything. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Music of Destruction. Join our Facebook group. We're up to 400 members. Go to facebook.com/groups/Music of Destruction. If you'd like to support the channel, help keep it going, and get access to exclusive podcasts, The Seed, patreon.com/Music of Destruction. Select the $5 tier. You'll get access to those podcasts. Ronnie James Dio, the podcast I'm covering right now. First episode, The History of Dio, comes out this Saturday, tomorrow, June the 13th. So look forward to that. I'm really looking forward to putting that out for you guys. Also want to give shout-outs to Shadows of Death Records. I'll be reviewing his albums, or the bands on his label, sorry, in the upcoming weeks. Look forward to that. shadowsofdeathrecords.com. Check out all of his bands. Buy some of his albums. I'm sure he would greatly appreciate buying bands from his fucking label. Also, shout out to Metal Band's Chronicles, King of Swords, Acid Metal, and Backwards Metal, and Morticide, my buddy Josh's band. Have yourselves a great day. We will see you for Metal Album Warfares today at 7 p.m. Have an awesome day. Cheers.
Engine